Hey there everyone, welcome back to Utility Sports, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings, the state of this franchise, and also the NBA draft with pick number 4 specifically, because everyone's eyes right now are on the Sacramento Kings after moving up in the lottery from the 7th best odds up to pick number 4. What are the Kings going to do with the selection? Will they draft best player available? Will they take best fit at that spot? A lot of people like Keegan Murray there. Or will they trade the selection, which I think has a lot of people's eyes open and their ears to the ground about what they could be potentially hearing, certain trade packages, and I'm really excited to be covering the Kings in this video and some of the other teams that I think could be vying to move up to pick number 4. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe. We would really greatly appreciate having you a part of what we do here at Utility Sports. You guys make it such a special community, and if you have any Kings trade ideas, I would love for you to comment them down in the comment section right now, or even some other NBA draft night trades. I'm hoping to have another NBA draft night video coming out on the channel here about draft night trades. So now let's go ahead and move forward here. And I want to urge you guys to hit that notification bell as well. Usually, I ask you guys to hit the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate it that you do those things, but I feel like I don't push the notification gang very much. So I would love it if you could just take 1 second right now, turn on notifications. We post daily, and I would love for you to not miss out on any of our content here. Again, new change to the channel. I'm planning on covering the 2023 NBA draft the moment the 2022 NBA draft finishes, basically. So we're going to be doing a year-long 2023 NBA draft coverage. Usually I go about 8 or 9 months, but I'm going to stick it out the entire year just for you guys. So now let's jump into the Kings, and there's a lot of conspiracies like I talked about. There's a lot of comments asking about Sacramento Kings trade videos, asking about what could the Kings do with pick 4 on my mock drafts. They say, well, I think they could trade it. I think they might take this player or that player. And it's always fun to read all of the comments like I do, because first of all, you guys know a lot about basketball as well. It's not just me, it's us. And I think that there's a lot of coverage on the channel, not even just from me, but also in the comment section. So I want to, again, thank you guys for all the great comments you leave. So this video is going to focus on some of the packages I've seen. We do have one commented trade in today's video, and then also 3 more trades that I came up with on my own. Some of them kind of fit the basis on maybe some of the rumors you might be hearing. Again, I don't really look up other articles myself. This is all off of my own content. So hopefully you are enjoying what I've been posting. So now let's jump into it here with potential package number 1. And this comment comes from Bill Carlton. So Bill, huge thank you to you for commenting this in the video. And he says here, Pacers trade 6th overall pick and Malcolm Brogdon. Of course, a little typo there, probably autocorrect, I would have to guess. And the Kings trade the 4th overall pick. And I think this is a good starting point for a deal, a good little piece of framework here. In Sacramento, some people might say, why would they want Brogdon? That's another guard they trade off Halliburton. Most good teams in the NBA have a trio of guards. You look at what the Mavericks were able to do once they got Spencer Dinwiddie. Some of the other really good teams in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors right now, they have a plethora of guards, but specifically the trio of Klay, Steph, and Jordan Poole, of course, are the most notable on that roster. Some of the other really good teams in the league as well. When Utah took a step forward, is that right after they got Mike Conley and added Jordan Clarkson off the bench to complement Donovan Mitchell. Having 3 good guards is a good thing, and they still have their now franchise center in Domantas Sabonis after the Halliburton trade, and we know the Kings and Pacers have done business before, and for this deal it does make a lot of sense, I think, for both sides. Now I think there's gonna have to be some ancillary pieces in here, whether that's an extra player, maybe a couple 2nd round picks, something along that line, probably coming from the Pacers here, because right now Brogdon's not really looked at as a big time positive contract, and of course there's gonna have to be some cap filler going back out to Indiana, but these teams have ways of working around that. And also the Kings have Richaun Holmes, probably bring in a 3rd team into that, maybe a team like Dallas I could see, who has the 26th pick probably for sale for a big like Richaun Holmes. I think that can make a lot of sense as well here. You rope a 3rd team in, but why would Indiana want to do this? Why do they give up Brogdon and some of his trade value? There's a big split on what the draft community and the NBA community feels about Malcolm Brogdon right now. I'm kind of more with the pessimistic group, where his value does not hold a ton of weight. I think he's still looked at as a decent player, and I think teams would like to add him. I just think the contract's a little questionable for a lot of franchises. Not that that's the right thing. I think Brogdon's still a good player and can help a team win. but Andrew Wiggins was looked that way as well. I still think players like that can help you win, but teams aren't really signing up for those contracts as willingly. But here I think it makes sense because Sacramento wants to win. The Pacers would love to move up from 6 to 4, and the reason why is because Detroit's sitting right in the middle of those picks at number 5, probably with their eyes on either Jaden Ivey or Shaedon Sharpe, two players that I think the Pacers would love to grab, and presumably the top 3 going in order, or of any order of these 3, with Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paolo Banchero probably going to Houston 3rd. It leaves Jaden Ivey sitting there at 4. The Purdue kid sticks there in Indiana with the Pacers. I think it makes so much sense for Indiana to really be motivated to move up. And if Brogdon and some other ancillary pieces is all it costs to move from 6 to 4, it seems like a really good value deal. Ivy, Halliburton, that's your backcourt of the future. Then we move on to potential package number 2. And of course, this is one I cooked up here and one that I actually really like. It's a 3-team deal. And there's a lot going on in here. So let me break it down slowly. The Kings here are getting Kelly Olynyk and Jeremy Grant from the Detroit Pistons, as well as pick number 7 from the Portland Trailblazers. The Kings in turn are giving up pick number 4 to Detroit. They're giving up Harrison Barnes, Richaun Holmes, a 2026 first, and a 2022 second rounder, which is number 37 in this draft, back to Portland. And the reason why Sacramento would want to do this, to move down from 4 to 7 and to bring in Jeremy Grant at the expense of Richaun Holmes, Harrison Barnes, and a future first, might sound like a lot, but Jeremy Grant is a much better defensive player than Harrison Barnes, and Richaun Holmes has become rather useless there in Sacramento after the Domantas Sabonis trade. He just has not had a plethora of minutes, and I think realistically he's the odd man out there now at this point in Sacramento. You bring back in Kelly Olynyk, who fits, I think, a little bit better around Sabonis, and you keep your kind of core rotation, but I think you improve at the power forward spot from Barnes to Grant. I think you improve your fit at the other big position, coming off the bench from Holmes to Olynyk. Not that Olynyk's a better player than Holmes, I don't think he is, but I think he's a better fit next to Sabonis. And you still get to have a top 10 pick in this draft, which is valuable because maybe that turns into a Keegan Murray, or maybe you use that pick on a Benedict Mathurin or one of the other really good players in this class that could fit around your roster. And maybe you go into next year with the starting lineup looking like De'Aaron Fox, say Benedict Mathurin, Jeremy Grant, Domantas Sabonis, and then insert a small forward in there, whoever you want to look at, or a shooting guard, perhaps Davion Mitchell could even start. That's a pretty decent young core. Of course, it did cost you quite a bit. That 2026 first could be lottery protected. You know, there could be some protections on that would save Sacramento on the back end. And then for Detroit, what's the key standing point here? Well, now you have 2 top 5 picks in the draft. I think this is maximum value here for Jeremy Grant. I know a lot of people do not like Jeremy Grant if you're not a Pistons fans, but some Pistons fans look at Jeremy Grant like he's Grant Hill and worth a ton, and I just don't really see that. I think if you get pick 4 for him, you literally maximize his value. Can't do any better than that. And you'd have 2 top 5 picks at that point. You could maybe add in your own combination of, say, Benedict Mathurin, Jaden Ivey, say Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, Shaedon Sharpe, whatever you want to do there. Troy Weaver would have a multitude of options for him. And then for Portland's perspective, yes, you're giving up pick 7. That's really expensive to give up. And you're not getting a first back until 2026. But remember the timeline here. You are trying to win now, and you bring in 2 players who do help you do that. Richaun Holmes, I think one of the more underrated big men in the league. He's got a really good push shot, about 8 to 10 feet away from the hoop. He's a phenomenal pick and roll guy. I think would be a great pick and roll partner with Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. And you also bring in Harrison Barnes, who's a pro's pro. He is good offensively, solid defensively. He's going to play within your system. And he's going to be all about winning. Now, he's been on teams that winning hasn't been really possible. You know, a young Kings team, a young Mavericks team before Luka Doncic arrived. He hasn't had talent around him. But think back to his Golden State days. He did all the little things for the Warriors back then. And I think you plug him in there in Portland, and you look at a starting lineup of Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart. You have then Harrison Barnes, Richaun Holmes. And you go into free agency with a little bit of cleared up cap because you probably renounced the rights to Jusuf Nurkic, so you can't bring him back over the cap space, which is obviously a little unfortunate. But the mindset there is maybe you go in and see if you can figure something out where you bring in other pieces, or if you do keep his rights, maybe you facilitate a sign and trade with another team to bring in something else to your books, whether that's a guard or a wing. And I think this does make some sense for both sides. Again, I think Sacramento's probably paying the steepest price here, but I think it makes sense for them given the fact that you are upgrading from Harrison Barnes to Jeremy Grant, and you're also getting back pick 7. Then we go into potential package number 3. And don't forget here, comment your own trade ideas. I'd love to see what you guys have cooking in your own ideas. But Sacramento here, I have them getting a deal with the Washington Wizards done. And this is another one that's pretty interesting to me, specifically because they get to stay in the top 10 and they bring in some talent that fits their roster. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a player they were tied to in the deal for Buddy Hield that fell apart with the Los Angeles Lakers. There's obviously some interest there for KCP. But then you look at Denny Avdia as well, a player who I used to be really high on, and I still think there's a lot in the tank left for him. I think he's getting better, specifically defensively. And I think for Sacramento, Monty McNair has a pretty good tell. He likes playmakers, guys who can pass the basketball. Denny Avdia can do that. At about 6'9", he is somewhat of a point forward. Now, he hasn't been able to play in that role a ton in Washington. They have such a plethora of forwards that it has eaten away some of the minutes and opportunities for all of them. They've all had to sacrifice to a certain extent. And you also get Vernon Carey Jr. back in here to be a backup big for you. And you get pick 10. So you give up Richaun Holmes here and pick number 4 to Washington. And even though I don't think this is, again, perfect value for Sacramento, I don't exactly love this for Sacramento. I think this does give them some of the assets that they could use. Maybe you look to bring in a few second rounders back from Washington in this. Maybe there's a few other things you need to throw in here. Maybe Washington gives up a future lottery protected first round pick. But overall for me, Sacramento here, it's about winning with the Domantas Sabonis trade. They want to make the postseason. They have not been in the playoffs for so long. The goal is to get there. You bring in a good player in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a young player who's getting better in Avdia. Vernon Carey Jr. eats some of those backup center minutes that you're losing with Richaun Holmes going out. And you get a top 10 pick still to complement other players on your roster. All in all, I feel pretty good about this for Sacramento if there are a few little other things involved. And then moving into package number 4 for Sacramento here. And this one's with the Charlotte Hornets. And there's pretty good value coming back into this one here. So again, you're sending out that same package of number 4 in Richaun Holmes. That's the package they're going to be calling a ton of teams on, saying, hey, what can this get us? What can this get us? We want to know what you're going to send us for Holmes and pick 4. And here Charlotte says, okay, well, we'll give you Mason Plumlee, which I know is not the most attractive thing, but it's a backup big in this league. You also get PJ Washington, who I think is a definite improvement over Chimezie Metu, who, even though a lot of people don't know who Chimezie Metu is, he's a solid NBA player. I just think PJ Washington is simply better. And then you also add back in pick 13, pick 15, a 2025 first round pick, and then a 2022 second rounder, which is number 45 overall. And those are some of the ancillary pieces I was talking about with the Washington deal, right? Maybe a second rounder gets involved, a future first, whether there's protections on it or not. Those kind of things can open the door here for Sacramento to really look at making a move. And if you look at yourself in your Sacramento and you say, okay, we gave up Holmes, who doesn't really fit next to Sabonis. The two of them aren't going to play together like at all. PJ Washington can survive next to Sabonis. That makes a little bit more sense. You add in 13, 15 back for 4. And from Charlotte's perspective, this is going to be their last chance at maybe a crack in the top 5. If they were to make a deal like this, just with how good LaMelo Ball is, I think James Bouknight's going to really emerge next season. And they've just got a bunch of good players on their roster right now. Maybe for Sacramento, they'd say, okay, instead of Plumlee, can you give us Kelly Oubre? There'll be some discussions off this. The whole point is that these are maybe the basic frameworks of deals in which teams are starting to have some conversations about. Some of these, I'm not sure if they're going to get done. In fact, I believe most of these won't get done. In fact, only one of these could potentially get done if there ever is a trade for pick number 4. I want to know right now as well in the comment section, do you think Sacramento trades pick 4? Do you think that they look for a trade package? Is it possible they even consider moving up and giving up more future assets? That would be interesting to watch. Let me know what you think about the Sacramento Kings. I would love to hear your guys' ideas. And thank you again so much for watching. Comment Noti Gang in the comment section right now. It lets me know that you made it to the end of the video and also that you turned on notifications for our channel. We'd love to have you watching every single video as soon as it comes out. Again, daily uploads Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you've been enjoying the NBA draft content and just the NBA content in general. Been trying to work really hard. We've got a bunch of fun videos planned coming up. Some of them are already scheduled, and I'm really excited for the future of utility sports. Thanks again so much for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the very next utility sports video.